Mine for more, bro.
You're welcome. Welcome back to Close to Broke. My name is Kieran. Today we are at my restaurant, but this gentleman who's gonna go take a poop right now. Wow. We're playing a 3-5 game here at the Hustler, or it's 2-3. Sorry, I got it all messed up. Why am I letting you guys know about all this? Well, it's kind of important. We just crocked for it, but we're all forced to use $2 chips. It should be a ton of fun. Get ready for a ridiculous session. Let's win some money, or lose some, and hopefully it's cool.
Okay everyone, briefly before we get into today's episode, I want to make sure you guys understand what the heck is going on because I barely do myself. Today's episode is a 1-2 pretty much uncapped game here at the Hustler. If you're from the California area, you probably think that that doesn't exist, which you're right. We're actually doing this as a private sort of a meetup game or friend game that me and Rampage ended up putting together. Some of the biggest, faces in like the Max Payne Monday set have decided to join us. We have Israeli Ron in the game, Margot Brooke. We have some friends from the social media world, Rampage, myself, Fish Poker, Branson. So my goal is to be a good host and to VPip like every single hand, which we end up doing. So if we get into some spots, just don't be confused. Although sure, you guys might make fun of me for being a little too wide and aggressive, but I'm going to be doing that specifically today because that's the goal. Let's hop into this very first hand. We're about 30 minutes into the session, actually. Not a lot has gone on in our favor. And we find ourselves with Logan, one of my best friends in the world, which I have quite a few of my best friends at this game. He has a $32 straddle on. That's pretty massive for a 1-2 game. It folds to me, and I'm in the $8 straddle, which is the double straddle, I think. And I have 9-6 of hearts. I decided to raise here with the old 9-6 to $100, and only Logan makes a call. The flop comes 10-8-4 with 3 diamonds. To be totally honest, I don't remember if I had diamonds or I had hearts, and that's kind of good, right? I don't even know if I'm bluffing or value betting, so I decided to just open jam. Logan has around $160 to $200 remaining. I feel like we can definitely get him to fold better. If he has jack high, queen high, king high, ace high, they're all probably just going to fold. If he doesn't have a heart, they're going to fold. And so a little bit of a gamble, but we're here to make some waves. After a brief moment of thinking, Logan ends up throwing his hand away. We show the hand, and it was quite in fact the 9-6 of hearts. Happy to take that one down and moving on to the next hand. Well, if this next hand doesn't kind of give you a little bit of foreshadowing for how the rest of the session goes, then I don't know what will. Anyways, in this very next hand, under the gun makes it $10 to go. There's 2 callers as it gets to me in late position. I look down at 10-8 of hearts. Feels like a great hand to just peel with here. But, the fact that I'm going to be in position against all these players is great. Especially with the suited little one-gapper. I'm down to make some waves as we talked about. The big blind calls as well. And we're going infinite ways to a flop that is beautiful as it comes ace 9-7 with 2 hearts. We flop ourselves an open-ended straight draw and a flush draw. My mind is just racing, trying to figure out how much money I can possibly win or build a pot here. Anyways, the action checks over to Fish Poker, who decides to bet $20, and he has somewhere around $136 in his stack. With the action folded over to me, I decide to actually just raise here. Get it out of the way quickly. I want to isolate the player. I feel like playing a flush draw, an open, straight draw, may be a little dangerous. There's some time I can get like maybe a jack high straight or flush to fold or a queen high flush to fold. And it'd be great to do that and just isolate one player. I raise to $100. It folds back to Fish. He ends up jamming all in for $136. I make the call for $36 more. And we do a little bit of negotiation. We agree to run it out twice. And unfortunately, he boats up on one of the runouts as he has ace 9 here. And on the other runout, I cannot, nothing comes for me. So unfortunate for us there as, we have infinite outs even against a hand as strong as his. And they just didn't want to come today, I guess. Either way, if there's anyone in the world that I'd like to have it, it'd be Fish. He's one of the nicest people in the poker world I've met. So if you guys have a chance, make sure to check out his channel, Fish Poker. One of the few people I do watch in the poker world. Otherwise, make sure to like and comment on this video. If you guys want to ever be in a game this fun, just show me the love and the support, and maybe I'll host a game at the Hustler soon. Who knows? Alrighty, things are progressing along. I find myself in early position with the beautiful ace-king offsuit. Looking to rebound here, I raised to $12 from early position. As we mentioned, Logan in late position makes a call, and the big blind makes a call as well. believe the big blind's name is Nick Austin or something like that. He's like some kind of social media influencer. Either way, nice gentleman, and we're going off to a flop that comes ace 7-3 with 2 spades and a club. All right, not a bad flop for us. Top pair, nut kicker. Action checks to me. I'd have set a bet here, $26. A little bit on the larger side as there's a flush draw and some random straight draws out there. Logan makes the call, and the big blind makes a call, makes a raise actually to $80. Kind of a weird spot to raise here. Our opponent can have some combinations of 2 pair, I guess like 7-3 suited sometimes, but I would assume that this opponent's like not that sick to be defending 7-3 from the big blind. I really don't know. I don't know what the population at 1-2 is doing, but definitely could have ace-7. So gotta proceed with some caution, but he could definitely still have some bluffs here. I make the call, and so does Logan. We're going off to a turn card that comes to 6 of diamonds. All right, does bring in that gut shot that has obviously been pretty prevalent, but again, I think a gut shot would be pretty, it'd be quite brave. It'd be quite courageous to raise with that hand. But again, who knows? I don't know anything about these players besides Logan, who's a donkey. Anyways, with the action on the big blind, he actually decides to lead out here for $150. Not great. I'm not loving it at all, but what can I do? I think my hand is just way too strong to fold at this juncture. If a spade can come on the river to bail me out to fold, that'd be great. Otherwise, again, I think I just have to strap in and just make the call. So that's what I go ahead and make, and that's what I go ahead and do actually. And Logan makes the fold. We're going off to a river card that comes a queen of diamonds. This is an interesting situation now where there's one hand that is feasible that my opponent can have now that improves, which would be ace queen if he just wanted to play it slow pre-flop and then get aggressive post-flop, which is actually something that I do remember people doing quite often in the lower stakes. At this point, my opponent decides to go all in for $450. Now I go into the tank, which is, I don't know, I don't think that's a good thing to be going in the tank in this game. But yeah, by the tank I mean like 15 to 20 seconds. I'm just trying to figure out if he will continue to bluff and if there's any chance he's sick enough to just jam with like ace jack or something. And to be fair, I don't know. I don't know what to do here. In hindsight, I feel like this is a pretty easy fold as I go over these notes here. I don't think he's ever doing this as a bluff, and I think 1 out of every 10 times he's going to do this with ace jack and think that he's just betting for value. So if that's the case, I think this is a pretty slam dunk fold, and I'm sure everyone in the comment section can attest. So I don't do that. Again, I'm here to give action, and I have such a good hand that it's almost like owed to me out of how much action I've been given that I get a little back. I end up making the call, and my opponent shows ace-7 offsuit. So unfortunate for us as we couldn't get away from it there, but no one to blame besides ourselves. Looking back on it, as I said, everything's clear in hindsight, and feels like it was a pretty easy fold. Nonetheless, happy to move on to the next hand, and hopefully we can battle back in some fashion. All right, moving right along here. In this next hand, Fish is in early position. He makes it $10 to go. We are next to act, or a couple seats over, I can't remember, and I have 5-3 clubs. I end up making the call here. The big blind calls as well. We're going off to a flop that comes ace-6-3 with 3 hearts. All right, not too bad here. With the action checked over to Fish, he decides to c-bet for 30. This is a really big bet, and it feels like it's indicative of a hand that's trying to protect against a flush draw. So if that's the case, I feel like I can either improve and get a really big, payout if I can get one of my 2 pair or trip outs. Moreover, I feel like if a hard comes, I think I can bluff my opponent off of it. Either way, I end up making the call for $30. Big blind folds, and we're going off to a turn card that comes a queen of diamonds. All right, a little interesting. My opponent decides to bet out $40 here, and again, at this point, I've signed my life away. I said that if a heart comes, I'm gonna blast. Otherwise, I'm just gonna probably shut it down on the river. I end up making the call for $40 as this is a little more of a reasonable price to play. Anyways, we're going off to a river that comes a beautiful 10 of hearts. Now the plan can continue. With the action starting over with Fish, he decides to bet out $40. Like we said, if we got on the river, we were going to plan a bluff if it came a heart. I end up jamming for the total of $186 to go. That is what he has about in his stack in total. He has about 146 remaining. He thinks about it for a quick second, but says that he is incapable of making this fold. And he flips over queen deuce with the queen of hearts. Damn it. So it seems like on the flop, he was just trying to buy it. That makes a little more sense and just show the queen deuce in honor of our guest here, Israeli Ron. But either way, we're going to lose yet another hand. There's a chance we don't win a single hand in this session. But yeah, nice hand to you, Fish. It's so painful reading back all these hand histories and just seeing the pain, even in the notes I'm writing. But no one to blame. These are all self-inflicted wounds. Let's try to battle back, baby. That's what I'd like to see. All right, this next hand, there is no explanation for the specific holding that I have, but just bear with me as it's a good time. I don't know how else to explain this. There's an $8 straddle on, and it limps like 4 ways to me. I'm in the cutoff. I'm here to get in the mix. I'll be in position of most players, which is all right. So I make the call for $8 with a hand that I should be playing blackjack with, or at least doubling down with. The button makes a call as well. It folds over to the straddler, who's Branson, who I should have known. He's been at least trying to isolate all night. He's been trying to play a pretty solid game. He's not been involved in any splashing for sure. He ends up isolating here for $60. Middle position makes the call, and somebody else makes a call, and now I'm just in a situation where I'm like, all right, now I'm getting kind of like pot odds, I guess, with the horrible hand. The one thing I can think of is that it's gonna be, I'm pretty live here, right? Yeah, this is bad. This is pretty bad. But anyways, I end up making the call, and the button makes the call as well. So we're going in a massively bloated pot here, off to a flop that comes queen 8-6 with 2 hearts and a diamond. The initial raiser actually decides to check here, and the interesting here is that now the initial limper decides to lead out here for a bet. Interesting, because the problem is I just don't see a ton of value here. I think when he decides to take over the reins, he's either going to have, sure, sometimes a queen, but more than likely, I think he'll be having some kind of random flush draw or some kind of random like gut shot or overcard. Again, we can't say this for certain, but this is a friend of the vlog, if I'm not mistaken, Victor. If he's a fan of the vlog, that means he has some form of a bluffing range. So I'm not going to be set off to the side this easily. I end up making the call, and the opponent to my direct left, his name is Capron. He's a social media influencer, an absolute gentleman. He ends up making the call as well, and we're going off to a turn card that is a kind of a bittersweet one. It comes at 3 of hearts, so we end up with 2 pair, and I didn't get this far to fold, obviously. And now we have a very interesting situation where the initial bettor, the guy who took over the betting lead, just jams. This is a massive, massive overbet jam, and I just don't see a flush draw or a flush ever doing that. Maybe he has like ace queen or like king queen with a heart, and if that's the case, I'm ahead. So yeah, why not? Why not just make the call? I guess, right? I have about 720 in my stack. I end up making the call for less, and now it gets over to Capron, who is on the button. He immediately says, I don't think I'm good enough to fold, which is just makes a frog jump into my throat. I realize he's the one with the flush, and we caught the wrong person bluffing. We just forgot that there was somebody behind me. Anyways, he ends up making the call, showing king knight of hearts. The initial bettor had king jack offsuit, so that was just a good old-fashioned punt. He's obviously a subscriber of the channel, watching that kind of stuff. He's either a big fan of Rampage or myself. Either way, not going to work out against second nut flush and 2 pair. Well, at least I had the second best hand, and the person that jammed, I was beating him. Too bad there was a person behind me left to act. Either way, yeah, we end up just losing, and this is a massive pot for 1-2. This was like a 3K pot, but yeah, who's even counting, honestly? Jesus. At this point, we've added on for like another 1,000 or 2,000. So we're into this game for quite a bit. Anyways, in this next juncture, I looked down at 9-7 of spades here, and I'm the one that's in the straddle. Middle position makes it 14. The button and the big blind make the call. And we're going off 4 ways to a flop that comes 8-6 deuce, 2 spades and a club. Yet again, we flop an absolute monster, open-ended straight flush draw. I better get some action here, and I better hit something. Anyways, with the action checked through, that's not a good sign. It's going to be harder for me to get some value. The turn card comes the ace of diamonds. It checks to me, and I decide to bet, and our opponent Nick, who we lost the ace king hand to, out of position, ends up making the call. And we're going off to a river card that comes a 3 of spades. Finally, we have value. Oh my gosh. What's a little frustrating, or maybe not, I guess, is that our opponent leads off for $80. The frustrating part is that he now sets the price for himself, and he can probably get away if I raise here with most of his holdings if he doesn't have a flush. The other big problem is that people just, without the nuts, people have not been given too much action to the person that's given action. But again, you can't complain, Kieran. This is all self-inflicted. Anyways, hopefully this comes into my favor, though. I've been looking like an absolute lunatic, and rightly so. I decide to raise here to $300, and our opponent goes into the tank before eventually deciding on a fold. Oh, well, that sucks, as he would later on tell me that he had the ace of spades, so he had top pair, and he was blocking the nuts. So either way, couldn't get any more money there. We tried our very best. I now wish I just led the flop and built a pot a little more. But either way, if it just wasn't meant to be in the cards for us, we're going to lose like every single pot. And even when we're winning, it feels like we're losing. This next hand is an absolute doozy, and probably why you guys clicked on this video. As you guys can see, this is crazy. Anyways, we are in an interesting situation where there's 3 limps on the $4 straddle. And I find myself in the hijack, and I decide to make it the old $26 to go as an isolation. It folds over to Ethan, who is on the cutoff with the button 1 of the 2, and he decides to 3-bet to $100. Ethan is obviously willing to get it in a little bit of a mixy situation. So with the action checked over to me, there's been 0 4-bets at the table, I think, all day. So why not introduce that to the dynamics now? I end up 4-betting to $300. With the action back to Ethan, he ends up snap jamming for $928 total. The snap jam usually is not aces and kings, so hey, maybe queens does this, maybe jacks, maybe tens even. I end up making the call here, which may be a little spew in some aspects, but against Ethan I feel like it's a fair fight, and it is. He flips over pocket tens immediately, so we are in a full-blown race for what is, I guess, 5,000 million big blinds for this game. This is the biggest pot of the night, I think, or second biggest. It's a massive pot either way. And we agree to run out 2 boards. The first board comes out 6-7-3. Not very great. The turn pairs the board with a 6. And the river comes a queen. All right, we don't win that one. Maybe the second one we can win. The second one comes deuce, deuce, 8. Ouch. Turn card comes a 3. And the river card comes a 4. Alas, we are incapable of prevailing here. We're going to have to give the luckiest man in poker even more money. In all reality, I love Ethan, so, you know, whatever. He ends up winning this pot. I guess it's fine. It's better than me donking this off at some random 5-10 game. So, GG's to you, sir. 5-bet with 10s for value and got the absolute max. Absolute pleasure, my good sir. And let's move on to another hand, as the fun has not ended yet. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, heading over to the very last hand of the session. I find myself with King 9 offsuit. I decide to raise to $14. The small blind and the big blind both make the call, and we're going off to a flop that comes 6-4 deuce, 2 diamonds, and a club. Alright, there we go. Finally, another hand that we have nothing with. I decide to c-bet here for $20. Only the big blind, which is a friend of the vlog, as well as a fellow vlogger, Branson, he makes a call, and we're going off to a turn card that comes an 8 of hearts. Alright, this doesn't improve us in any way and can only help my opponent in his range, so I end up checking it through. The river card comes a beautiful 9 of spades. Alright, we finally have value again. With the action checked over to me, I decide to bet a massive bet here, again, relative to the pot. I bet $100. The reason I'm going big is because it's going to be hard for me to have a ton of value here, and if I do, it's really nice to be as thin as just a top pair holding. I'm going to have random straights, random sets that play slowly, as well as some random 2 pairs like 8-6 or 8-9 that just run a runner. So if that's the case, like I said, it's pretty much a good idea to go big. I bet 100. Branson says that only against me he'd make this call, which he ends up doing. He makes the call. We finally win a hand. We end the video off on a high note, and I think we played, I don't know, like 30, 40 major hands today, and only 8 were worthy to put in the vlog. And even then, we probably lost 99% of the hands. So, ran even for how much hands we played, we didn't even run that good. But either way, man, it was an absolute pleasure doing this. Just being in the midst of some really like-minded people, some really fun people was amazing. Being surrounded by my best friends in the real world, as well as my best friends in the poker world. It was an absolute honor and a pleasure. If I'm going to lose money, I mean, how can you complain about losing money in this game? Either way, I appreciate you guys as always for sitting here and listening to my fat ass talk. I love you guys dearly. Thank you guys so much again for watching these videos. If you guys haven't already, please make sure to click the like button. Follow us, as you guys know much already. Click the subscribe button, like, comment, do all the fun stuff. Either way, let's start with me immediately right in person next to the tables and see how the hell we feel after quite an exciting session.
As we talked about, we were forced to all play with $2 chips. The only problem is Ethan has knocked over my chips 2 times already. And it's really ridiculous because I have to clean all this shit up. He's done it twice.
Hey, thanks for helping out with this. Thanks for helping out with this.
Oh my god, why?
Oh, this is a good thumbnail though.
Do you have cards under there? Oh, okay.
You have cards. How does it feel?
Feels great. It's so good. Now I can take my thumbnail picture.
I mean this wholeheartedly. I lost a ton of money, so much that I don't even know how much I lost. So a little bit of a problem. We doubled up Ethan, and he was nice enough to run it twice, and I didn't win a single one. Congratulations, Ethan.
For what?
Beating me.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Ethan's my friend. I'm happy we had a good time. This was a blast. Otherwise, that's it for the episode. I honestly don't know how much I lost. I'd say minimum we lost 2,000, 2,500, something like that. But it is what it is. Losing 1,000 big blinds in 1-2. That's how you do it. That's how you play poker, guys.